Oh, hello, Mike. Shonda, you already here, man? Great. Hey, listen, I just want to check the oil here a little bit on my car, and then we're ready to go. Sorry. How you doing today? Everything fine?
I'm fine.
Lower voice, please. That is great. I love that, man. It's great. Yeah, I love a car that you can check the oil on yourself. These days, you open up the hood and it just says motor. And be careful, because if you don't know what you're doing yourself. But an old Jaguar, especially a right-hand drive, is like a work of art that should be respected. It's in great shape for an old car. And I like old things. Today I'm going to be talking about old trumpets also today. And get this out of the way. I'm going to be talking about old trumpets today, but you can even see that I had a nice young lady even put blatt, like gold plate this. And then I painted it myself and put some rubies in the eyes. So that, let me see if it'll start. Oh, Honda, no, Jaguar. I really shouldn't have done that when the car is not warmed up, but it's the effect, it's everything. So let's go into the studio and get to work. I've got some great old trumpets today that I want to talk about. Oh, by the way, I don't think I ever talked about this. This is what they call in Germany a Wettbewerb. It's a competition that I organized for the Bavarian students. Blechbläser's brass instrument in 2013 had these 4 instruments, all the Tromba instruments. I had some special horn and trombone with a thayer and another B-flat trumpet with copper and whatever made at that time, and a rotary valve trumpet. And these are my colleagues. This is Mr. Andreas Kraft. He's the head of the brass department at the university now, and this is Wolfgang Gag, who played with me originally in the Bamberg Symphony Orchestra and was one of the original founders of the German brass that actually was called Das Deutsche Blechbläser Ensemble, or a quintet, but I suggested the name German brass. So actually the name of this ensemble, German brass, came from me, which came to a big problem later. There was a fight about the name, but I was already left the ensemble. And it's another whole story about that. If you go to Sonic, you can see different stories that well, things that went on in my life. Anyway, and Andy was kind of angry with me. He didn't know that he had need to bring a tie and whatever. He didn't know it was a photo session with like that. And of course, I knew Wolfgang would forget his tie and jacket, so I actually brought him that tie. And that tie and jacket belonged to me. He looks pretty good in it, though. He's pretty happy with it. Holding the horn, he's holding the horn here, and he's holding the trombone. Unfortunately, well, not unfortunately. Quite fortunately, the competition went very well. And also Mr. Hans Thoman, who is the biggest music house in all of Europe, perhaps even the world in these days, because he does a lot of, he's sort of like the Amazon of music sales in Europe and perhaps even the world now. As I said, he and JK, that's the people that make my mouthpieces for me, Joseph Clear. And this is my favorite family restaurant. It's a good friend of mine, Karl Heinz. He's in. That's another story altogether. I like to do things to try to help people if I can, and I decided to put his logo on the poster anyway. But anyway, to make a long story short, there were 3 rounds, and students from the different universities and colleges, music colleges. So it was to offer them instruments and a little support with some tuition and some whatever. And since we're going by here anyway, this was the last concert that I gave here in Germany, or anywhere, on the 30th of the 11th, 2019, before COVID started. It was the 20th anniversary of my ensemble, the First Bischöfliche Bläser Consortium, which is the first bishops, a wind ensemble to Würzburg under the auspices of Graf Paul von Schönborn, who is his family are the ones that made this huge palace here in town. And that's where we did our concert, in the palace. It was the Hofkirche, it's called, yeah. And we played pretty broad spectrum, from Pretorius all the way to a very fine, contemporary composer, Mr. Helmut Timperland, who uses the basis of modus Tromba and overtone resonance for his compositions. So, but we have to get back to doing concerts again. This is the kind of thing I used to do quite a lot. And as a matter of fact, I did a tour in Canada, benefits tour, and has this as the poster. It's sort of like Mozart takes the wig off and throws it onto the piccolo trumpet. I'm actually playing, this is the Mozart oboe concerto that I was playing on that tour, among other things. Leopold Mozart, Wolfgang Mozart in this concert, Telemann Bach for trumpet and organ, and Dr. Klaus Linsenmeyer, an old friend of mine. He's now 82. He's not playing many concerts anymore, but he is still playing, was with me, and was very kind of me to travel to Canada, and we did concerts in the university in Saskatoon and Regina, where I studied initially and taught from 1970 to 1976. 1977, I went back to Canada after I was in Philadelphia, in Saskatoon, and also we even went to my hometown, where it was my birthplace. And an old man with a trombone came, and he said, "I was friends with your dad when he played euphonium in the Salvation Army band here in town." It was a little town of like 30,000 people, and called Weyburn, 40 miles south of Regina, almost on the American border to North Dakota. Montana, those are the American states that are quite close to where I'm from. But to make a long story short, one does what one can. I'm organizing a new competition with. I'm going to give some instruments away for students in this time in Canada, not in Germany, but in Canada, where I'm from, because this is my 65th year of my life, and I'm retiring on the 4th of November from the university here. And yeah, this is the First Bischöfliche Bläser Consortium. We did a nice CD and a nice program for that. I think I had put together for this specific concert, I think, let me see how many people were playing. 1, 2, Beno was on the last YouTube, he was playing also. Bernd Hess, a former student. My son played, great. Christy Belicki, who played in Munich brass with me, was able to come. Gabriele said as a student here. Isabel Schmidt, also as a teacher and a former student. And Kuno Holzheimer is the director of the Bavarian Music Academy, and he came and played bass trumpet and baritone tuba. Sebastian Schemel is actually his father played with me in the Bamberg Symphony Orchestra, and not Schemel, but Schmel. And a former student of mine, Tyrone Kretschmar, played organ and cembalo with me. And we did a lot of things. Started with Josquin Dupré, Buonamente, very broad spectrum program, and ending with pieces from, well, it was a Christmas concert, basically. So what are you going to do? You're going to play Praetorius, you're going to play Pachelbel, you're going to play Bach, Vivaldi, all the things that everybody enjoys for a Christmas concert. So one of the trumpets that I want to talk about today is a wonderful trumpet that I got by pure luck. It is a Sabarish model C trumpet. Ramon Sabarish was Maurice André's teacher, and he developed this trumpet for the Selmer Company of Paris in the late 1940s. This is the trumpet that Maurice Strandre played when he did his competitions in Munich, and during his, basically the sound that was in the ears of people like Henri Tomassi and Jolivet and Honiguer when they were writing their pieces for orchestra and piano. And it has a very special sound. I also have a B-flat trumpet like this, and this instrument actually has a second, if I just may very, very quickly grab this, it has a secondary slide that puts the instrument in B-flat. That just is added in here. And it has been polished up like a new penny by my new instrument maker and helper, Mr. Peter Hartmann, who lives in Kist, quite close by here. He does a wonderful job of cleaning and polishing trumpets and doing repairs. He's an instrument maker himself, of course, but he really took the time to help me with this because I wanted to present this instrument with true respect. I mean, polished and whatever. Many instruments that I have are tarnished because I have 47 trumpets, and it's difficult to keep them all cleaned, and sometimes just enough valve oil on so that the valves work every day. But I use them all and for different things and different kinds of music, and that's what I'm going to talk about and demonstrate in the next YouTubes today. I hope that you enjoy these. This YouTube probably won't be, even though now we're in the end of April, it's probably not going to come out until July. And but still, I'm always interested in your comments and your criticisms and suggestions of how I could do these YouTubes better. I'm not doing these YouTubes to make money. I'm going into my retirement, and my is a state retirement from the Bavarian state, and I'm not hurting for money. The reason I'm doing this is to, it's more or less my legacy. Teaching and talking about the very fine instruments that I've been able to collect in the last 43, 44 years of my time here in Germany. And even when I go back to Canada, though, I might keep my studio, I might not, but my intention is to buy a small boat on Vancouver Island and enjoy the wonderful sea life there, and perhaps even teach it. There's a nice little music school there, pro bono, at the in Nanaimo. Some young people, if they're interested in some of my experiences and teaching techniques. So I think it's enough for this first YouTube. I haven't played a note yet, but it's more or less of like a preview of what's going to be coming up. So I hope you'll be watching. The Man with the Horns, Richard Carson Steuart. Thank you.